This is how to put up a 2 or 3 person dome style tent in 3 minutes. We've got a ground sheet down on the ground. We then open up the tent, roll it out, and we take the bits and pieces of poles and pegs off, put them in a safe place, put the fly, which is a green bit, in a safe place out of the way, and then we've got the inner of the tent, which goes on top of the ground sheet, the blue ground sheet we've got there. The inner tent is nice and flat. We've now got the poles out. We carefully put the poles together. They're not toys. They can break, even though they're made of strong aluminium. We have a long cross one, which is orange, and then we've got 2 red ones, which are a bit shorter, and our 2-person ones are like this as well. There's a bit of variety in different tents you'll find. Basically, they're color-coded corners, so we've got orange corners where the orange pole goes into. One corner has a pokey bit that sticks into a hole, and the other bit has a hole that you put a pokey bit into. It's pretty easy to work that out. The red poles don't go all the way from corner to diagonal corner, but they go most of the way. Again, lining up the red tabs on the corner bits to the edge of the pole, and then we have clips that go onto all of those poles, maybe 3 or 4 clips per pole, to keep the inside of the tent nice and tight. We now get the fly or the rain cover. It goes over the top of the whole tent. There's 2 doors on most of the 2-person dome tents you'll find. Make sure the doors line up on the fly with the tent, and then there's a little tab on the inside to make sure the poles don't poke through the green fly as well. We then attach the corners through a clip system. Various clip systems are around for different tents as well, and they can be tightened later to make the fly nice and tight. A tight tent is a waterproof tent. So we've got both of those in. We now get a peg. We carefully put the peg in. We try not to use our feet with a peg. If we can do it with our hands or a hammer, that's a better option. We just got 1 peg in each door, and that's more than enough to secure a tent. With a lot of rain, you'll actually put more pegs in to make it nice and tight again. We roll the door up. There's a nice attachment point for that. And then we put all of the bits and pieces in the bag, and the bag goes into the tent bag, that is, to make sure that stays there at the end. We now move on to putting down the tent, and we have basically a reverse of putting it up. We get all the bags out, poles, pegs, and tent bag. We take the fly off. The fly gets folded up into a fairly nice little package, which will go on top of the tent in a minute. The poles then come down. Again, careful with that, folding them up, treating them gently. 3 poles go into the pole bag, as you'll see. And the inner tent then gets laid down nice and flat again. It gets folded into quarters, into 4, sometimes into thirds, depending on the size of your tent bag. The fly on top, and then the poles and pegs go on top, and rolling nice and tight, putting some weight down, getting that nice and tight, poles and pegs inside there as well, and then that goes inside the bag. 2 people or 3 people work well to do this. Tighten up all the straps on the outside. We're folding up the ground sheet or the tarp, protects the bottom of it, and there you have it.